A great spiritual philosopher, political reformer, and courageous military leader once encountered a black and white Abyssinian cat in his campaign against the pagan Quraysh Meccans, led by Abu Sufyan, in the valley of Mount Hayud. The commander was so enamored with the creature's beauty that on his travel home from the military campaign, he rerouted his soldiers' march so he could return and adopt the cat. He named the cat Mu'ezza. This leader was none other than Prophet Muhammad, alayhi wa salam. Once, during a call to prayer, Mu'ezza was asleep on the robes of Prophet Muhammad, alayhi wa salam. The Prophet, alayhi wa salam, needed to wear the robe in order to offer the prayer, but did not wish to disturb Mu'ezza's sleep. So he cut the sleeves from his robe, allowing her to sleep in peace. In the hadiths it is written that a sinful woman entered the fire of hell because of a cat, which she had tied, neither giving it food nor setting it free from the vermin of the earth. Does it honor Al-Wadud Ar-Rahim Subhan Ahawateyana to drop a bowling ball on a cat's head, to smash a cat's paws with a hammer, or to crush his neck inside a windowsill, to whack him in the face with a frying pan, strike him over the head with a wooden baseball bat, a wooden plank, or a fireplace spade, to squeeze his tail with an iron, to shoot him with a double-barreled shotgun, or to blow him up with a picturesquely red stick of dynamite, to trap his nose in a mousetrap, to drop a safe on him, or to punch him in the face with an anvil or a comically sized boxing glove? The Rafida believe so, which is why they commit so many other abominations in the eyes of Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, such as constantly shifting the stakes during a conventional genre film and bogging his story economy down with excessive tertiary characters, polluting our eyes with ugly CGI, and miscasting Chloë Grace Moretz. I'm joined by my fellow child of the book, our host Caleb Townsend, to discuss this issue facing our Ummah.
Oh, wow. Hey, Nevin.
There was a lot to unpack there.
There was so much to unpack there. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Zoomy Cathies. Today, we've got Colette, Janie, the return of the prodigal son, or I guess it's not prodigal. I don't know what the Islam version of that is, but whatever that is, that's Nevin, I guess, today. And we've got a special guest, Luís. Say hello, Luís.
Hello, my name is Luís Miguel Contreras Ospina, or you can just call me Luís.
I think we're just going to call you Luís.
Call you Luís.
So Luís listened to our very early episode of our first Tom and Jerry episode where we opined about this episode and opined about the movie coming out. And he said that he was like that kid who had the vein bulging out in that very famous meme. I think it's called Bulging Vein Kid. I don't think that's what it's called, but it could be called that. So
you could find it by typing that
I'm
in.
Sure. So I want to ask, before we get into it, Luís, what is your Tom and Jerry opinions? What is your childhood with Tom and Jerry? What are your hot takes?
Definitely grew up watching Tom and Jerry ever since I was a kid. Definitely love the classic ones more. The art style, they were more lively and more animated than the later ones, like in the 70s, where they changed the artist. Also, than ones that they have nowadays, where they're lazily recycling the same exact jokes, only with worse music. The one thing I liked about the originals is the orchestra that they had. They knew how to play with the animations. So.
You don't think Tom and Jerry is better when you replace the classical music with generic top 40 R&B dubstep?
Yeah, you don't think Tom and Jerry's short should entirely just be three pigeons rapping Tribe Called Quest songs in their entirety?
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't think kids are aching to hear "Respect the Technique" as they watch all this comic mischief?
When I was a child, I would have been super stoked to
Hey.
hear a bunch of old dead black men rap to me at the beginning of a Tom and Jerry movie with bombshell hottie of the decade. What's her name?
Chloë Moretz.
Chloë
Grace Moretz.
McGurk.
It's Moretz. It's very
Chloë
simple.
McGurk.
Respect the Technique is awesome.
She's
And
Coach McGurk's daughter.
Coach McGurk's daughter. Yeah. John Benjamin.
Yeah, I don't get those references either.
So, for those of you who didn't read the title of this episode, which, what are you doing? I don't know how you can just pee without holding your cock metaphorically like that, but go for it, I guess. Go off, King.
Great metaphor.
Thank you. We watched the 2021 Tom and Jerry movie starring Chloë Grace Moretz, Michael Pena, and for some reason, Colin Jost. It came out on HBO Max as an exclusive. It's been in development hell since about 2009. It was supposed to be a successor of the Alvin and the Chipmunks movie. They were like, wow, this shit's really good. We got to do more of this. Come on, man. Yeah, Biden produced it. And it was primarily animated during quarantine, which we'll talk about whether that shows or not later. But
Okay. Do you guys know more of the politics behind this movie?
I have a labor politics take on this movie. My labor politics take is like, obviously they were like doing a treatment of a Tom and Jerry movie, and they're like, well, what's the plot of Tom and Jerry? A cat chases a mouse around a house and they beat each other up.
Yeah.
And like, or they're like, well, you can't make a whole movie out of that. So then they're like, well, how would you raise the stakes a little? It's like, what other places could a mouse be in? Oh, like a hotel. And then they're like, well, we can't just have, you need like a human character, so let's make the human character a hotel worker. And it's like, I'm not like trying to cancel this movie because like I don't want to like make like a like I don't want to like make like a labor version of like
cancel it, drag her.
Like
Okay.
like this movie, it's just these people who like everyone who works in Hollywood hasn't met anyone who like makes less than 6 figures in like 10 years, and like this movie, like I you know, I have a bunch of buddies who like do like, you know, hotel worker like union drives and stuff, and like activism, that kind of like labor organizing. And it's like 90% of hotel workers have lost their jobs since COVID started. Like, well, not hotel, like 90% of Unite Here, which is the hotel workers union. So 90% of like unionized hotel workers. So probably more non-union. And it's like it's not like this movie is ostensibly about hotel workers, and it's just like they're just like lollygagging around like the bellhops. They just like sit and like they just like have like all this free time to go like hunt mice, and the bellhops just like sit and talk, and like they go flirt with the bartender, and like they get drunk on the job like during the day, and like the kid, because I'm a kitchen worker, like Jane, you can like the kitchen.
Oh yeah.
The kitchen the kitchen workers are just like shuffling around, and like kind of like, you know, Ken Jeong's character is just like yelling at them like kind of comically, and like
Ken Jeong's character is fucking ridiculous.
Ken Jeong
it's like they're going for like a Gordon Ramsay thing, but I don't know. He's just so not like funny. Like he has no like
Ken Jeong
nothing to like do.
Was funny in The Hangover, Community, and literally nothing else. I will say that.
Yeah, I agree.
That being said,
he is kind of funny as the Doctor and Knocked Up.
He is funny.
He's just
as
doing
that.
this.
They do get
He's just doing the same.
I was gonna say they do get the Doctor. Or not the Doctor. Michael Pena. They get him as like the head honcho. Like the asshole employee. Michael Pena.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Is Michael Pena exaggerating his accent?
It kind of sounded like he did.
Yeah.
Because I don't remember him talking like that in other movies.
Especially when he
like,
says
not
humpster.
That pronounced.
Humpster.
Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah.
I think
Humpster.
I don't know.
I think
it's
this
like,
movie.
I don't know.
To me, like you know, my critique of Tom and Jerry, where it's like the cat is actually the good guy. I feel like Michael Pena is the version of that in terms of the human characters. He's like it's kind of like the Star Wars like Last Jedi dynamic, where it's like this like Latino dude is just like saying sensible shit, and this crazy white woman is saying totally absurd shit, and he's being punished for like for being like, no, we should just call an exterminator.
Sure,
No, we shouldn't have it animated, which also, you know, we're not going to get into the world building elements of this yet. I think
that bothers me too. Yeah.
We're not going to talk about that yet.
You don't want to talk about the no background check after they hire?
Yeah.
Wait, no. Okay, I'm glad somebody brought that shit up. Okay. Yeah. I did not find Clara McGurk's character sympathetic whatsoever. She just ruined some random bitch's life.
Clara McGurk.
That was identity.
Famous star kick-ass
Colette.
Clara McGurk.
I agree with Colette. I agree with Colette 100%, because there was an entire like the first international film to win an Oscar. There's an entire movie about like characters like Parasite is just an entire movie about like working class people who like dick other working class people over and like what happens to them, and like it's a serious dramatic film about that. And like this character in this movie is just straight up doing that. Like she just like fucks over some woman, and also
she
this is another
commits
thing that's,
identity theft.
Okay, but like this random British woman came here from London. Went from London to New York for this one event to get this job. It probably was like a career-defining moment for her. And then some random 20-year-old cunt walks up, steals her resume,
you guys are
she
like
the interview and takes her identity. Like, I would find her and kill her.
That being said, I think we
think
should roll back and go through the movie sequentially, just for the people who haven't heard of it. Spoiler alerts if you're 8 years old or the worst kind of person. I couldn't imagine anyone else being mad that this movie's spoiled for them. But
someone who has like a Tom and Jerry hentai fetish.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Nevin, do you wanna?
They've already seen it. Those people have already seen this movie.
Nevin, you and me can kind of take it through. So it starts out very prominently. This movie's made by Tim Story, who, if you guys don't know Tim Story, it does have a black director.
He made Taxi.
He made Taxi? I knew him as Ride Along.
Yes, like literally like the worst fucking movie
He
ever,
made Ride Along, Shaft,
continue
Think Like a Man,
and Barbershop.
and both Fantastic
I'm actually surprised
Fours.
Barbershop's probably his best movie.
I'm surprised he's black because
Barbershop
he has
rules.
like the ultimate white guy taste in hip hop.
Oh,
Like, I also love Tribe.
Colette and I were talking about this. It feels like a white guy that was trying to appropriate black culture.
It feels like a white father of three named Gary who works as a CPA that was like, hey, me and my wife go to the 90s hip-hop night down there at the community center, huh?
He Googled the words hip-hop.
Like... But this movie
I like Tribe because
starts...
it's old school, but it's like not about like hustling. It's about positivity.
Also, they changed the alley cats to black ghetto characters.
Oh
yeah,
I was angry
when
about
they
that.
walked up.
So why did we have to make?
Why is Butch black now?
Why did we have to make the raceless alley cats very stereotypically like the ideal of like the white man's most hated black person? Like what
like
the
a Ben
fuck
Shapiro.
is that?
Like a Ben Shapiro novel idea of a black guy.
Literally.
So moving back, this movie starts out the worst way a movie like this could, with three pigeons. One of them who I don't know if you guys watched the credits. The director Tim Story voiced the fucking pigeon. He voiced the goddamn pigeon.
God.
He had which is insane. But it starts out with three pigeons rapping "Can I Kick It" from Tribe Called Quest, just in its entirety, and that's like the opening credits.
Which, like, that's not even a B cut. That's the only Tribe Called Quest song this guy knows.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
I'll say that, like, when I first put it on and I was like, oh, this is Lou Reed, and then I was like, oh no, it's Tribe Called Quest, and then I was like, maybe. Well, that happens to me every time I hear that song. I think I
thought
don't
it
know.
was Lou Reed
It doesn't
too.
matter. But I had a small glimmer of hope that like maybe this wasn't going to be like horrendous. And then the pigeon started singing it.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that
the Lou Reed
was really,
song is about
if it didn't have pigeons singing it. Like if it just had, I don't know. This is a stupid comment to make. I don't know why I said
The Lou Reed song is about like transient, like gay and trans sex workers moving to New York City.
Yes,
So I thought that was the angle
they're taking a walk on the wild side with having wacky comic mischief mouse games.
Okay, but what I didn't.
That's how he got feeling.
What I didn't get was I understand like the cold opening with like the dancing, singing animals for a children's movie, but why would you pick music from this decade?
That was why I said earlier. Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. Well, that kind of brings up like the biggest thing about this movie though is that there is relentless hip hop beats in every corner of this movie. Every chase scene, every molecule of this movie has a boom kind of vibe.
Theoretically,
to it,
though, I must say, like,
do you agree, Luis?
I think
the
sorry.
piano scene where
I'm
the
so sorry.
devil conscious character just pops up and starts.
It's so bad. And they're both
was like one
black.
of those-
Why
They're
was
both.
the cat auto-tuned?
Why was the cat auto-tuned?
That
Yeah,
was
it was-
T-Pain.
Well.
That was T-Pain. Are we talking about? Or am I skipping ahead?
No,
That was
we're all
T-Pain.
there.
Sorry.
We're
Yeah,
all
that's
there.
Voice.
kind of head, yeah.
Yeah. I just like we need to talk about the elephant in the room and I'm not referencing
little-
that terrible joke in the movie. Yeah. I'm just I'm not.
Ooh.
All right.
Yeah, spoiler
That's
alert, there's an
also-
elephant in the room at the end.
That's also why Michael Pena's character was the only like character I related to, because like the line where he's like, elephants are noble and majestic creatures. He's like the only human being in this movie. Like everyone else is just like a weird like. It's like I was describing this movie as if like the like Malaysian sweatshop like Elsa. Finger Family, Johnny YouTube children's videos like had taken over Hollywood, because
Yeah.
this film like it fails on like the basic level of even like there doesn't need to be a formulaic Tom and Jerry like theatrical release blockbuster movie with shitty CGI, but it doesn't even follow that formula. It's almost
No,
like The
it's
Room in a way,
all
but not funny.
over
Yeah,
the place.
yeah.
So it starts out with
Yeah.
you see Tom and Jerry, and they both have their own lives. Tom is like, he's like
I think
grifting.
they both just arrived.
Yeah, and he's like
Yeah, they
grifting.
both just arrived to New York.
Yeah. And he's grifting to be like, he's pretending he's blind. And everyone's like, oh, it's a blind cat. That's cartoon. And then like Jerry is like getting some like real estate agent, I guess, to show him like a car. And they make the first of like 10 Batman references because Warner Brothers owns this, and they need to keep reminding you that Batman's a thing. So the new Justice
I
League
hate the
won't
shit
flop.
that's like
Chalk outline.
I hate the shitty meta jokes. Like these kind of jokes are funny if done well, but this movie doesn't do them well. Where it's like, can I say will I get sued by Disney? It's like, no, like this is like it's just like this is a Warner Brothers product. Like it's not a funny meta joke. It's just like trying to be meta, but really it's just like brand
Yeah,
marketing. Warner
they force the saying infestation rather than mouse problem.
I guess
Yeah.
the premise of this is that like mice are like tenants, I guess, like, and they have their own little mice world where like they rent like abandoned
Like
cars
used
or-
cars?
From
Yeah,
rats.
from rats.
apparently.
I feel like it's a little racist. Like I don't know who it's racist against, but like I feel like there's some kind of racial thing going on. Like I don't know. Like,
Absolutely.
well,
I know,
why?
this is a
Like
point that
I
forgot
don't
to bring up
understand.
that,
Like
yeah.
finish
why
it?
like fucking Tom is. Why does it have to be like that? Like, why can't
Yeah.
they just both have their little hustle? Like,
Yeah.
why does he have to expose him for being a like? I don't understand why. Like, are you supposed to root? I know this is like
This-
an old like this is probably an
no.
argument as old
Super
as time.
valid.
But are you
No,
in
that's
this
what I
case.
was. That's
for
what I was
Jerry?
getting ready
Yeah.
to
Like,
say.
I don't
Well,
understand if I'm
like-
supposed to enjoy
This
when
film
he
never-
like exposes Tom. Like, I
This
I
film
want
never
I want to
establishes
see
that.
Tom succeed.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
so
'cause
that's
it-
what I was. That's what I was
it's
trying to
those-
say. Is they literally chose
And also,
the least likable version of Jerry for this.
The base of a good
Right,
Tom and
yeah,
Jerry
and Chloe
cartoon
Grace-
is
you-
that like Jerry is like looking for shelter or looking for food, dying from survival.
Yeah.
Something reasonable, and then there's some force that's forcing Tom to like fucking like get the mouse out of the house or else he's kicked out. So there's like
Yeah.
two stakes between these characters, but you sympathize with Jerry. This movie's like, no,
Jerry-
Jerry is
Okay.
just a
No,
sociopath
Jerry
who's
is-
just
Jerry's
like
an asshole.
Yeah.
Jerry
This
is an asshole.
This
Absolutely.
isn't Tom and Jerry. This is Itchy. Jerry is Itchy. Jerry is Itchy from Itchy and
It's,
Scratchy.
it's the
in this.
Itchy and
it's Tom,
Scratchy
like, it shows
parody.
Tom,
It's like a sociopath that's violent
Yeah.
for no reason towards
And
a
I
cat
think
that's just
that's
living
what-
its
I
life
think
and trying to
that's-
like beg on the streets.
This film has an establishing shot of Tom and like his only like beloved possession is a keyboard, and keyboards are expensive. They're like $500 bucks,
yeah.
and like that's his only. And he's like hauling it around, and he like sees himself on this billboard with like John Legend, and he like imagines himself being a famous musician. Which who the fuck like that's like talk about.
Well,
a
also
Gen
that
Xer
that
idea
made
of,
me
like-
that made me just wonder. Oh, is John
Right.
Legend like signed up with Warner Brothers? Does he have like some like? I cannot see
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
as
exactly.
a real movie. It's just an opportunity for Warner Brothers to do
Yeah.
like the synergy
promote
like,
their
promotion
other
shit.
synergy shit.
Like I'm sure
But then
John
Jerry
Legend.
destroys. Jerry destroys Tom's keyboard for no reason. Like even
No
if,
reason.
like just smashes it. And like it's a theme throughout the film is like Tom is like carrying around his broken keyboard, like crying about it. It's like
Yeah, it's really like mean spirited. Like honestly, like if kids see that, like it's not like I know this is like a dumb kind of like argument to have, like, but like, you know, like I don't know, like I don't think it's like a good like.
Yeah.
Back in the day, like maybe like it would have been fun just like seeing just some like normal comic mischief for like no reason, but it really seems like the scales
like
are like
10
tilted.
Minutes of comic mayhem, and it's not really like I'm like kind of like anti like pushback on like protect the children from problematic media.
Yeah.
Like I think like if a kid watches a Tim and Tom and Jerry, they're just laughing at the comic mischief and mayhem. Like you said.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
But this film is straight up like no, like Jerry. Yeah.
It's disgusting, honestly. People are just sitting there and they're laughing at cats having anvils fall on their heads. That's a real lived experience. Real cats are getting real anvils falling on their heads. And it's fucking disgusting that you would take that and just make comedy out of it. Honestly.
We are really, really doing.
Can we just?
Again.
Steven Crowder has entered the chat. Sorry about that, guys. I just couldn't resist. It was too alluring. It was so.
We're circling around the subject of Pepe Le Pew, but let's talk about how Tom has feline AIDS.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how Tom has feline AIDS. Like,
so Chloë Moretz comes in and Tom fucks with him. He fucks up his show. Everyone's like, oh, this is just a normal singing cat, which brings in the very confusing world building this movie has, where all animals, including like carcasses of fish that are about to be eaten, are
I wanted to mention that
live
animated.
Well, hey, I realized like at that scene, I was questioning it at first, and then at the end of it, I realized it was all just a big setup so that Tom could eat a fish and then spit out the like full
bones.
Like empty shell. And that's a classic gag. So
this film
I
doesn't do
really
a thorough-
loved it.
I think Luís could maybe speak to this because he's probably the biggest Tom and Jerry fan on this. But like, this film doesn't really do a thorough job of like homaging the visual motifs. I feel like they just like picked one or two and like they just like Googled like Tom and Jerry meme like gifs and like we're like let's just do that one. Like it doesn't like if I were a Tom and Jerry fan, which I'm not really, but like I'd be mad at this movie because there's not like that much Tom and Jerry stuff in it. Like it's just like random crap.
How'd you
like right after that park scene, it just goes to Chloë Moretz for a full 30 minutes. Without Tom and Jerry.
There's all these like human characters, and there's these human characters, and like this film is bad at like human characterization. It's like Tommy was so bad, and it's like this is the one franchise or intellectual property that you could adapt and also be bad at that, and it wouldn't matter because the point is just a cat and a mouse hitting each other with hammers. And
I mean,
like,
any movie called Tom and Jerry that's like, you know what?
Yeah.
We need to give some screen time to Colin Jost. Has his priorities fucked up.
I know I'm jumping ahead, but like 20 minutes towards the end of the film, they just randomly change the stakes and decide that Colin Jost's marriage is the stake. Like
Colin Jost is literally only funny when he's next to Pete Davidson. To try and make a vehicle for him is a fool's errand. Like off the bat, like he's only funny when he's when he's next to a trashier guy from Staten Island, and
I thought if this was a normal romantic comedy, and like as a queer person, I think we deserve this for like gentrifying Chicano neighborhoods and going on like cruise ships to like Tel Aviv while like Netanyahu is genociding people. But like we will never there will never be like one of these movies that is just like has a queer person in it because like of the Singaporean film industry, and like I think we deserve that, and I think it's fun. But like,
Chloe should have fucked Colin Jost's wife.
That's what they were setting. Like in a normal romantic comedy, that's what they were setting up. They were setting that up. Like he's the asshole, and like she's the girl that she's gonna get. Like they were setting that up in the second act, and then like Warner Brothers was like, nah, Singapore, cut it, kill it.
Did you like the forced inclusivity line right after they see Jerry in the kitchen, where he's like, or maybe it's a girl mouse. You could be gender fluid.
Yeah,
It could be gender fluid.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
Jerry
what the
took the
fuck was
non-binary.
that?
All non-binary people saw that moment and a tear formed in their eyes.
Yeah. Well, but what confused me is that first she says it, and then she goes, "Oh, I mean, or him, or her," and it's like,
Well,
it's
like
fine.
Pepe-
It's a
like Pepe Le
fucking
Pew in
mouse.
Space Jam 2, not to get
Like,
into
what
that
the
drama, but
fuck?
it's
Like,
children don't need like an explanation as to why Pepe Le Pew should ask for like this is just for like adult babby brain people who only watch children's media.
Yeah.
Like this is not like like I'm not saying like show your child like
it's we're worried that the adults are gonna watch Pepe Le Pew and then start raping people.
yeah, exactly.
Like no kid watches like Pepe Le Pew and is like, that's how I woo women, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Brock-
you get that
Brock
shit.
Turner.
You get that shit from like Judd Apatow comedies and like Degrassi, like you should.
Brock
no one's
Turner
like,
wasn't
oh
like,
yes,
watching Pepe Le Pew as a kid.
no one's just like, oh yeah, I should get women from the characters that are constantly like with speech impediments and getting hit with giant like horse cleaning products.
Okay, but Colette. Remember the thing you said in the last Tom and Jerry episode we did about how the white sexy girl cat who smokes a cigarette is always in the
It always has a parasol.
Yeah.
Oh,
Colette, you
yeah,
remember
the swanky white cat.
Oh, yeah, you
on
were
my
saying
end,
it was
you
like
cut
a
out.
low-
They
Lo-fi
changed
thing.
her. They changed her model. They changed her. They redesigned
They
her.
changed
Like,
her
what the
model.
fuck?
She's like 90% less sexy.
I know they made the white
Wait,
cat.
the white cat
Yeah.
in this?
They
Yeah.
made her like
I-
iconic. Like she's the like one of the three things that's iconic about Tom and Jerry because she's always in the lo-fi sad boy hip hop and there's like a purple.
Yep,
tint.
every single
Like a-
one.
yeah,
Every single
yeah,
one.
Yeah. That's
Also-
like
They didn't want to.
Also, they threw in Droopy
Was she a-
for no reason, and they just put him
Oh
in a
yeah,
Hannibal.
put on a smiling face or something.
Hannibal Lecter mask.
Joker.
Little.
Joker,
Like, I'm
Droopy,
sorry,
and Hannibal Lecter
Droopy is one of the funniest characters of the universe. Tex Avery used him to incredible effect, and they literally just like put like a gag on him and are like, "All right, we're getting
They're bad
through,
gags.
like the two."
They're bad
No, I
gags.
mean a literal gag, not like a ha he
But,
he.
oh, I just meant this like you know remember
no, I
like,
meant
the
Like a
90s?
the
sexy
Hannibal
gag.
Lecter mask.
Yeah, but remember like in the late 90s when everyone was doing Matrix parodies, that's what the Hannibal Lecter Droopy and the Joker Droopy felt like. to
Oh
me.
yeah, it's
okay, I want
horrible.
to get into the world building because I love Who Framed Roger Rabbit. My boyfriend watched it with me. He had never seen it before.
Wait, can
Like,
we
that
can
film
we
that
can
I
we
like-
can we flex out the plot just a little bit first? Can we just let people know what's happening here?
There is
We
a
haven't
plot.
gotten
There is
past
a
the
plot.
Tribe
So,
Called
yeah,
Quest.
yeah,
line.
Tom.
I can bite-size the plot down.
Jerry
Yeah,
breaks.
like-
Jerry
yeah,
breaks
I
the
can bite-size
piano.
this plot down.
Yeah.
Chloe
Chloe Moretz.
Chloe
It's very
Moretz.
easy.
Chloe Coach McGurk.
She literally she walks into this hotel, this big swanky hotel, and there's this obvious foreign woman sitting there, and she's like, "What are you doing here?" And the lady's like, "Oh, I'm like trying to get this job," and like Chloe just lost her job because she did some dumb shit, and pretty much she like tells the lady, she's like, "Oh, you already filled the interview, give me your resume." Snatch laughs at her, then takes her to the front counter and pretends to be this bitch, steals her job. So now she's pretending to be this super swanky, high-end like event manager lady who's like worked at all these big fancy hotels. And then Tom and Jerry wiggle their fucking digits into the hotel and start causing havoc. And they're like, "Hey, you're a bad bitch who's like pulled together a bunch of fancy ass hotels. You should go out there and you should find this fucking cat and mouse and you should make them be gone." And then it's all about that. But like, she's not a sympathetic character. I wanted her to get fired the entire time. She did.
Yeah,
on
but
the
she
flip side-
is a fucking girl boss, bitch.
Yeah, it is like scrub on
Now.
sociopath shit. On the flip side, though, I don't think that like this is like speaks to like the guy who wrote this movie hasn't like talked to anyone with less than 6 figures in like 10 years. Like lying on a resume.
The guy who
lying on a resume.
the guy who wrote this movie wrote that movie Brigsby Bear.
Exactly,
Sorry.
exactly.
Depressing.
Case in point.
Brigsby
like
Bear's
lying
a
on a
great
resume.
movie.
Lying on a resume, like everyone lies on a resume. It's not this big moral dilemma. Like the moral dilemma is that she fucked over this other woman, but the film doesn't address
Yeah,
that. Like,
no. I'm not even
everyone lies
complaining
on
about
a
the fact
resume.
that she
Yeah.
like lied about the resume. My problem is that she
Yeah.
stole the resume from someone else.
Yeah, exactly. But like also like you don't like that never like this person hasn't like applied for a job in 15 years because like you just like Gmail. You just like Gmail a PDF of your resume. There's no like, oh, walk in the door and hand your paper resume. Like, and it's like the same like with like the establishing shot of her like doing like some kind of like DoorDash job. Like the people like they're like, oh, we need to like write this for the millennial like working class white millennials who are gonna watch this, but like they don't actually understand how these jobs work. And it's like I'd rather just. Like, if you're this bad at this, I'd rather you just, like, have Tom and Jerry blow each other up with, like...
Right!
Like
There's
TNT
so
bombs. Yeah.
little Tom and Jerry action throughout this.
Yeah.
They make up, like,
Yes.
20%
There
of
is
the
about...
movie.
Side note, there are a
Yeah.
lot of jobs
I
where
felt
you
like
need a
it was
paper
about
resume, just throwing
50%
that
like
there.
Tom and Jerry, and then 50% like Chloe Coach McGurk and Michael Penis.
Yeah.
And that ratio is way off.
Look,
it needs to
I'm
be
gonna
like
be honest,
90% Tom and Jerry, and then 10% whatever
I'm gonna
else.
be
It's like how
vulnerable
that
with you
50-50
guys.
bullshit.
Chloë
Fuck off.
Grace Moretz, I was in love with her. I wrote her a letter when I was in
She's
high
hot.
school. I literally wrote her a letter where I was like, hey, I know you're famous, but like my life's pretty cool too. And instead of people saying how cool you are, I'm gonna tell you how cool I am. She never responded. Shocker.
That's
But
very
cool.
Chloe
I mean,
Moretz was
I
my
mean,
high
I felt
school
that. I felt
crush.
that way about. I felt that way about Wally Shawn, so I understand. Like,
Yeah, exactly. That being said, Chloe, Michael Pena, Ken Jeong, none of them give a good performance in this because they have nothing.
I think
they are
I think
playing
Pena's
against
performance is good.
nothing. Say what?
I think Pena's performance is good. 'Cause
Michael
he's, like, playing with
Pena
nothing, but
is
he's-
fine.
I
he's
think he's
good.
kind of trying.
He's good
Yeah.
in the context
But-
of it's a bad movie and he's better than
Yeah,
everyone else.
yeah.
But he's
He's
not
like-
good.
he's like-
You
The scene
wouldn't
where he
see
has
that
to act
performance
like-
in a good movie and think it was good.
He's like being an acting samurai, being like, "This is a bad movie. I will say these lines as funnily, as like humorously as I can."
He's there.
And, like,
him
yeah.
and Chloe
Yeah.
and Michael Pena has like the edge there because like Chloe, like I like Chloe. I think she is a good actress.
Mm-hmm.
She's not a comedian. She's never been a comedian. Michael
No.
Pena has done a lot of comedy and knows how to do this. He's
Yeah.
trying so hard. Chloe's trying so
So-
hard.
Paul F. Tompkins too.
Say what?
The only two times,
Paul F. Tompkins.
No, that was Rob
too.
Delaney. I know who you're thinking Paul F. Tompkins was. That was Rob Delaney.
What are you?
Paul F.
so
Tompkins is
bad.
not in this movie.
I'm getting a headache.
Paul F.
listening.
I don't know
Tompkins
who the
would
fuck
never
Rob
be in this
Delaney is.
movie.
He
and
might as
will
well be. He
sue
might
us.
as well be.
No, it was
All right,
Rob Delaney.
Like,
wow,
the two
I thought
ti-
that was Paul
the
F.
two
Tompkins.
times-
Because of the
I laughed-
mustache.
I laughed-
Because of the mustache. That's all. That's
Yeah,
why you
and the
thought it.
suit.
Yep. It wasn't.
I laughed like cries of laughter of despair from how bad this movie was, but like the two times I actually like unironically laughed were like Pena lines that I kind of like. It's not that the line was funny; he just delivered it really well. That's the only thing I'll say in his defense. And also, like, if any normal person who wasn't like a Hollywood adrenochrome sicko like wrote this movie, he'd be the sympathetic main character. Cause
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
a like hot teenage girl came in and just like fucked me
Yeah.
out of my job because she decided
Yeah.
to hire a cat instead of an exterminator.
Yeah.
I mean,
And my boss is
yeah.
like an electric.
Oh, and that little PETA joke where he says, "If we hire him, the mouse infestation could get out, but if we don't hire him, PETA will be here so quick before he can say what discriminatory practice."
Oh yeah,
Some crappy
that
joke
joke
like
that.
was
Yeah.
so. I remember. I was like,
I was like,
are they trying
that's
to do? Like, I'm so like because it just well
getting
you know.
They're trying to be
lore.
woke. They're
Well,
trying to be woke.
But that
That's
is
the
also
lore, that's
a
the lore.
perfect way to segue into the world building because
The
that
lore.
is like a
The lore.
world building lore thing, and the world building in this makes no fucking sense.
Okay, so Who Framed Roger Rabbit? I gotta get this in. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? It has rules. There's humans and there's toons. The toons are like the fictional, fantastical beings who, like, in this world, instead of just animating, they shoot the cartoons, they shoot the toons, and that's how cartoons are made. There's humans and there's toons, and you can kill the toons with the dip. It's absurd and fantastical, but it has internal logic. This film is just like every animal in this film is animated poorly, shitty CGI anime for some reason, and like animals are kind of semi-sentient and have like ERA protections. Like that's but also like there's still a fishing industry, like including fish and insects.
Yeah.
Like there's still a fishing industry that like like the fish are as smart as Tom, but like they're being genocided.
Yep, and then also the animal control question mark?
Oh
Yeah,
Wait.
Question mark?
Yeah.
Wait,
Oh,
Luis,
it was,
can you explain the animal control thing?
All right, so the alley cats basically surround Tom and it's like,
And they're all
"Hey,
black,
man, I'm
right?
talking to you. Are we gonna have a problem?"
Yeah.
And then there's a hype man that's like, "Yeah, man, get down."
I thought, honestly,
Then suddenly
I
in the-
legit was
suddenly-
like, is this voiced by Kevin Hart?
And then the animal control drives by, so Tom whistles, and then he's like, "Oh snap! It's 5-0. Go!"
They literally, which like again, why I thought a white dude wrote this is because 5-0 is like what a white guy would write down. Like what like
I thought an old white person wrote this.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
I also.
A
5-0
black
is like
man
what-
wrote
like
this. The
white-
black man who made Barbershop wrote this. I'm sorry. it can't be
5-0 is what
emphasized
white
enough.
Gen Xers think. Like,
I have to bring up though. This was like, I realized like all these demographics that I thought this was for, or who might have like conceived this, and then I realized it like hit me like a light bulb. This movie's for old people. This movie's for very old people who like, oh, are they gonna get married in the last 15 minutes? That like that gets their fucking blood pumping. They're sitting in their chair. They're like, oh my god. When Kim Jong comes in to smash the cake, they're like, oh my god, that's crazy.
I
I
related
can't
to that.
believe he's
Actually,
gonna smash their wedding cake.
I related to Ken Jeong in that situation just in terms of like the like transcendental like out of body experience I was having watching this movie while hungover. Like I like also like related to him in that I'm also a kitchen worker and I just wanted to smash the cake that was this shitty movie. Like I was like I felt it. Like
Like a
say what you will about Ken
metaphorical
Jeong.
cake.
Yes, like
It's a audience surrogate moment.
yeah, it is.
I really struggled to connect to the story or any of the characters. I didn't find
I mean,
anybody
Yeah,
the
else.
last 15
I really
minutes,
hated that shit.
I've watched this
It's
movie
painful,
twice now,
painful.
and the last 15 minutes might be the hardest 15 minutes I've ever gotten.
This should
rough.
be
Because
an
it
85
really
well,
is
it
so rough.
breaks film conventions, even just on a writer's level, where it's like, all right, you've cared
Yeah.
about this. Oh, by the way,
Yeah.
actually, the main point of this is a wedding. Oh, by the way, we actually
Yeah.
care about fucking
Tom
what's
and
his
Jerry,
name?
they become
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah, pun unintended.
and it's wrapped up. Like it's
Yeah.
pretty. Like
It's
it
wrapped-
could
like,
have
that's
wrapped
what the
up
movie
very
is. That's the movie.
easily.
Like
And
And
it's
that- it
so
would've been,
long.
it
It's
should be
like
a 90
almost
minute
2
movie.
hours. This movie could have
It should
been
be a 90-minute movie. It
No.
should be an 85-minute movie.
Colette made a great
it's
point while we
100
were
minutes.
watching this. Colette
Yeah.
literally said this could have been a 22-minute episode, and I was like,
Literally.
yeah,
Yes,
it could have.
yes,
Yeah,
Colette
for
is
sure,
Yes,
yeah.
you're so right. Like it's oh my god.
It was
Yeah.
like
Oh,
it
and,
was like below sitcom. What's up, Luis?
Not to
Can
I do hate how they changed the character of Spike. In this movie,
Yes!
he's fucking annoying.
Yes.
Bad.
And he's an asshole.
yeah. He's
But
bad.
in
He's
the
cool.
in the original cartoons, he's chill. He's,
He's
like
like a
chill.
He
was
he's
like the
taking care of his
authoritarian.
own son.
yeah.
He
He's
was
like a
just trying to
good
hang out
dad.
with his son in the cartoon.
Yeah,
He's
a
a
really
good
good dad,
single
yeah.
dad. He sees
And now he's a fucking
yeah,
asshole.
yeah. I hate that shit.
yeah, but we
Well,
sure
they-
did get
I
a
mean,
good
they don't-
poop joke scene out of it.
Oh,
yeah.
my god.
Yeah.
They don't give a shit about, like, I mean, the fact that they gagged one of their funniest characters who has the most iconic voice in a literal sense
Yeah.
gagged shows they don't
Yeah.
give a shit about, like, the extended universe, blah, blah, blah. I mean, that
The
terrible...
MGM cartoon extended.
Well, no, genuinely, because they
Yes,
bring it in. Even
genuinely, yes.
last
I agree.
episode, we talked about the Tom and Jerry Willy Wonka thing, how they had Droopy in for like one scene, and we were like, oh, that's like really dumb that they would have him in. But at least the Tom and Jerry Willy Wonka Ashcan Compy movie managed to at least use the character of Droopy in a way that emphasizes and plays on his strengths and like is aware what
Yes.
the character. It'd be like if like they were like, all right, we're gonna have Bugs Bunny be silent and then Roadrunner give a monologue. Like that's how much shit they give about these characters. They have no fucking clue.
I like that. Not to pun unintended, but it's like the save the cat. Like,
Yeah, the
formula.
elephant in the room. I agree.
Well, that's like also like that's just elephant abuse, like normalization of elephant abuse. But like the Save the Cat, it's like it's based on this like it's this hack screenwriting concept. It's based on like Alien's a great film, and it's a great film because it's weird and new and interesting. And it's like this guy is like, oh yeah, you always like when you're writing a screenplay, you always have what's her name from Alien come back and save the cat. And
Ridley.
Ridley like save like it's like this like formulaic thing. And, like, I don't like Save the Cat movies, but this movie fails at even being that. Because, as Caleb pointed out, it's just, like you're like, I was, like, ready to, like, all right, this is, like, credits are about to roll in, like, a minute. I'm going to click out of this. Like, watching this movie is really painful and shitty. And then, like, I was like, oh, no, there's another 15 minutes of this. And suddenly, in the last 15 minutes, they're like, no, actually, this is the thing that matters. It's like, why? And that's like they're making the thing about how she lied about her like no guy who's like a bartender at like the Marriott in Manhattan would give a shit like who's like just like trying to like bang a white woman at work would give a shit about that she lied on her resume like why is that it should be that she fucked over this other woman and ruined her life like that should be like I'm like
she needs to go to jail.
Yes. There's so many weird things in this movie where it's like we learn from Tom and Jerry. Like, they're trying to make it a thing. They're trying to make it like a Guardians of the Galaxy thing. And, like, Guardians of the Galaxy does it well where it's like the Guardians of the Galaxy are a family. And it's a little saccharine and hackneyed. But, like, they're trying to do that with, like, Tom and Jerry. It's like, well, Tom and Jerry work together, so can we. It's like, don't try to find some, like,
They don't work together. They have a very short montage where they enjoy a day in New York. And then they're thrown back into the blender of a script that is this quote-unquote like honestly this movie should just be called like Chloe and Moretz and Pena and like Tom and Jerry are just cameo
featuring
roles.
Tom and Jerry
Jerry.
It's like that one like Don Knotts movie that has like a Tom and Jerry cameo from the 30s. Like they should have just made that. Like they should have made that.
So,
Louis, welcome to seeing random Tom and Jerry cameos in just any movie.
They should have just made like a
Tom and
like
Jerry
a
just
drum.
like Tom and Jerry just running in the background of like the gas chambers in Schindler's List.
What the fuck?
I just said he said any movie. Tom and Jerry in the Human Centipede.
Well, that's what first makes me.
Oh God!
I feel like Chloë Grace Moretz and Michael Pena being like hotel workers in a hotel and feuding with each other, like that could be a kind of funny, like it's like a comedy, like that's like not dramatic, but sort of like follows like a dramatic structure at some points, but it's mostly a comedy. Like that would be like a passable comedy, but it's just like they're trying to jam it into a Tom and Jerry movie.
Well, that's the other thing, though. I wanted to talk about Tom and Jerry. The animation is like weirdly it's like good and simultaneously really bad, and that is good on its own, but the lines are so thick that it never blends in any manner.
It's not blended, sweetie. You gotta blend it.
I do like how they go ahead.
No, at least you go ahead.
No, what's up?
I do like how they try to keep the original voice for Tom, but also kind of threw in some new yells and screams in there. I'm like, could you just stick to the classic because that's what we like and that's what we're used to, please.
Plus an entire auto-tuned song.
T-Pain.
Oh my God.
T-Pain. That was T-Pain. Also, I love how they were like, like Tom and Jerry, because like Tom and Jerry, the point of Tom and Jerry is it's like a 7-minute cartoon, and Tom and Jerry beat each other up, and they were like, oh, if we're gonna make a movie, we need to give them like stakes and like character motivation. So they made Tom's character. They like watched one Tom and Jerry, like they watched the Tom and Jerry where like Tom plays the piano because he's a conductor and they were like, that's
great
Tom's
episode.
motivation. He wants to be a piano. Yeah, great Tom and Jerry.
Yeah, it's like Tip Story was like, yeah, I watch a lot of Tom and Jerry. He's a piano player. He's a guy who wants to play the piano. That's his main motivation.
That's his main.
And then they did the same exact thing with Bugs Bunny.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the controversy. Because MGM and Warner Brothers accused each other both of plagiarism because both of them were like, oh, you stole my idea. Because the cartoons are very similar, and I think it's just because that would be a very, like...
Which is insane because I've been watching through the HBO Max, like, Looney Tunes stuff.
Crucial.
Like, Like before each movie that I watch that I get from Beyond Video, sponsor us, Beyond Video. I love you, Eric. Beyond Video, I watch a cartoon, and like the early ones, like the shitty Frizz Freeling ones before like Tex Avery and Robert Clampett started coming in, are like, all right, here's like a bunch of like goofy knockoffs from Disney, and they're all gonna sing about how a jug is the best way to hold water. Do you want to explain the wedding stuff, Luís?
Oh yeah, where they basically brought in the character right after she's hired. They meet the wedding couple, where Colin just never listens to his wife and tries to go crazy with the wedding by trying to press her and her father, while just missing the whole point of it. And their little forced action with where Jerry steals all their belongings to make his apartment or whatever.
yeah. That's like a very big thing, is that like Jerry at no point is like an ally. He's just a force. He's kind of like
complete asshole.
Yeah, he's kind of like the Roadrunner, where Jerry just operates as a force of chaos throughout the thing in a straight line.
Yeah. I feel like this movie is like set up like functionally very similar to like an Adam Sandler movie, where like there's like, you know, there's like a big event, and like, or there's like a big thing that has to happen at the end, and in this case it's a wedding, and it's just like, that's so fucking unimaginative.
Except like you know deep in your heart that
cares?
Colin Jost, Michael
Like-
Pena, and Chloë Grace Moretz are not taking a vacation together like Sandler and his crew do.
Yeah, or fucking like he's not getting all of Mr. Deed's money or whatever. Like,
yeah,
he's not Billy Madison who has to graduate. There's like a Red Letter Media video about this, but every Adam Sandler movie has like the big event, and that's just like what it feels like to me. It's just like the cheapest fucking possible screenplay you could imagine, and Tom and Jerry are there like half the time. Not even. Like, it's, I don't know, man. Like,
No, I feel
I'm
ya.
so like annoyed by that. Like, I don't know. Like, I seriously could have gotten really stoned and watched like 80 to 90 minutes of like a cat jumping around and bursting through a wall that makes a perfect cat-shaped hole, but I can't watch like almost 2 hours of this shit.
This kind of animation, like everyone here I know has at least some affinity towards this style of animation, and
For sure.
right now we're kind of just seeing it be mined over and over again. Like, I will say the last theatrical release of a movie that was good, that had those properties, is probably the Joe Dante Looney Tunes Back in Action. That was very funny, and it cared about Looney Tunes lore, and it was clever. I don't know.
They're just like fucking, you know, oh, Tom and Jerry's a property that we fucking still own. I wonder if we can dust this off and make some money.
That's
off
the
of it.
thing that
And
hits
yeah,
me
they
the
probably
hardest,
can.
is that this
Like-
doesn't differentiate itself that much from like an Ashcan copy Willy Wonka, which was our previous
Yeah.
episode, kind of like bullshit. We have to make this for the whole purpose of it existing type of thing. Sorry, my dog's barking up a storm right now. Right now you hear rah, 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 but he's going, look, these are characters that have a history, and within the
What, that
film
makes Spike
context,
an
I'm
asshole?
very mad. That's what my dog's saying right now. He is a purist. He's upset. And he should be, because honestly, this is like, they don't give a fuck, and like honestly, like it's not like some revolutionary concept to be like, oh wow, like a company picks up a product and then like puts it into their own thing and doesn't give a shit. But like, I'm sorry, it's Tom and Jerry. It's not rocket science.
And that was
make
like,
some
that was just
physics
90
jokes, and you could make
Yeah.
something that's watchable. It's not that hard.
Can we maybe try and say like anything we liked about it? I have one thing.
I've
like
got
the
some stuff I
Rube
like about it
Goldberg
too.
thing.
Let's
I have
all
one
go
thing.
around.
I have
and
one
end this.
thing.
That was
All right,
the
Janie.
Rube Goldberg machine. I honestly, I kind of have a sexual affinity for Rube Goldberg machines. I'd like to have sex with one day. So it was cool. It was cool seeing a Rube Goldberg
I like
machine.
that they put the Rube Goldberg machine in, but the fact that they had so many out of focus, shallow lens shots of it, it was like, show me the Rube Goldberg machine. Don't show me the key jumping up and down in detail. Show me the machine and make it more
slow motion
interesting.
fork.
Yeah, the slow motion fork. I was
Yeah.
mixed on it, but I appreciate it was in there. It was like, oh cool, they're at least trying.
Okay,
I-
who would like to
I
go
mean,
next?
I don't even know if I'd give them that much credit. I just enjoy seeing Rube Goldberg machines. You could put one in any movie.
Yeah.
Like a Rube Goldberg machine going to the gas chambers in Schindler's List. You can just
All right,
Why
All right,
do we keep coming back to this? No.
Really?
Luis, what's your positive? Do you have any positives for this movie?
Man, it's difficult to weed out.
You could just say no. If
Yeah,
you,
no
would
is
say-
a viable answer.
No,
Yeah,
I would.
yeah,
I would
that's a
say.
The
I
whole
would say
film- the
I
whole
did
film should've
enjoy
been
that
that.
they
The whole
have
film
some
should've
of
been
the original, remastered voice.
And that's like
actors
what a
that-
Tom and Jerry
Yeah.
movie should be.
that did for
Yeah.
Tom and Jerry.
uh-huh.
Yeah, they
I really
they had
enjoyed
Mel
that.
Blanc
Absolutely.
as the
Like, thank
other
you.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Homage and nod to you.
Uh-huh.
It is kind of like they're dead, and I don't think they would probably approve of this kind of trashy movie. But whatever.
You just
So I
want
don't
at
know if
least
it's
a
really that
reference. You
sweet.
want a reference that the
Yeah.
old thing exists
that's
at
fair.
least. It's the least it
That's
can
fair,
do for
yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Hey, I really like that they didn't have Tom and... That was a big mistake. When I was a kid, I saw the Tom and Jerry movie from the 90s, and they had Tom and Jerry talk. Yeah, they had Tom and Jerry
God.
talk.
Better wait. Okay, we're all saying "Oh God," but
remember that,
honestly,
though.
way
Better
better
film.
than the movie
Better
we
film.
just watched.
Better
It
film,
is
but I'm
better.
glad they
Yeah,
didn't do that.
yeah.
I'm glad they
No,
didn't have
yeah.
whatever, they didn't have Lil Jon doing Tom's voice like that. I'm glad they respected that.
Yeah.
And I like.
Yeah.
I think for
That would
the
rock.
first act, Michael Pena was a funny straight man, and it's weird that they made him the.
He's a good actor.
Yeah,
He's very good.
It's weird that they made him the comical, over-the-top villain, which just shows how this film has no structure or economy. But it's I liked in the first act when he was she'd be like, blah, 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 and he'd be like, "That's a fish." That I got a couple chuckles out of that.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
liked the
it
fish.
was-
Yeah,
I wanted
yeah.
more of the
yeah.
fish.
But those of
You only got one, and that was
Yeah.
also weird. Why is that fish fucking that fish is alive? And
Well,
then they
because it
show all these
wasn't
dead
pulled out of
fish.
the water to be
It's
sold at
like-
market.
I know, Colette, but it humanizes them. It makes you see
also
them
call back-
alive, and then they just get fucking eaten and spit out.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I
Garbage
feel about
later.
cows.
Call back to the.
So anyway, I'm
those
uncomfortable
callbacks
when
to
we're
the
not
classic.
about me. The one thing I liked was the Mission Impossible sequence with the Wi-Fi skateboard and the drone. That was it.
Oh!
That 30 seconds right there. That was the whole movie for me.
that did do they did a Chekhov's
Yeah.
gun with that because they were the Wi-Fi, the skateboard with Wi-Fi. That I was impressed that they did that. I was oh, the skateboard.
Yeah, they brought it back. They
Yeah,
brought it
yeah.
back.
Okay.
Oh, and
So-
amazing how New York had no traffic.
So for me, I started it and I was mentally blocking out the "can I kick it" thing. And when Jerry went into the car and there was an outline of another mouse, I was
Chalk outline.
okay, this is a joke. I can appreciate that. I appreciate that joke is there and it's funny. Fuck yeah. That was my high point. Chloë Moretz, Michael Pena, Ken Jeong, they did good considering they were playing against nothing and with probably no script.
Yeah.
That being said, that's about all I can say positive of it because the direction and writing of this is so stressful. I would rather them just make bad movies I don't care about with characters that are I would
Just
rather
make
10 versions of the
new-
Croods than
Yeah. Make new bad movies with new characters. That's with all this gender non-binary, Mr. Potato Head and all this shit. Just make new bad just make new stuff if it's bad or not. Just
Make new content.
make new content. Create new
exactly.
Yeah,
it shouldn't be a controversial take.
yeah, exactly.
But it is. How dare you?
Yeah.
Definitely.
But even with that, like, yeah, that's noble, and I agree. But like, if they're just like coming out with like this would be so boring for a kid. Like, I don't even care if it's new
child
product
abuse.
or not. Like,
Oh,
I don't want to. Like,
I could not imagine being
if I was a
nostalgic
kid,
for this.
Yeah.
I would be, yeah, exactly.
Absolutely
Kids aren't going to be
not.
nostalgic for this, and fucking, they're not going to be interested
I
in
think-
it either.
I
And
think-
you know what it's gonna
fucking
do? It's
care
just
about
gonna
this
make
bitch-ass
it's just gonna
romance,
make
like-
kids think that Tom and Jerry is fucking lame and stupid.
Yeah, which they're not. But these kids are
Exactly.
gonna- I remember
Yeah,
for me, it
exactly.
was the '90s remake of Lost in Space with Matt LeBlanc. Like you have that like moment where you're like, because when you're a kid, you like everything, and then you like for the first time you develop like, wait, this is bad, and it's like a new, like that.
Right.
This is gonna be that
Yeah.
movie.
You and I have talked about this extensively.
Yeah.
It's the I hate Barney phase
Yes.
that kids go
Yes.
through when
Yes.
they get about
Marty?
8.
Yes.
No, Barney.
Oh, Barney.
So there's
That's
a
a
phase
good way
where
to-
kids watch Barney,
Yeah.
and
I
then
hate
right
you,
around
you
8, they
hate
feel
me.
like a badass.
Yeah.
Me,
Yeah.
let's tie Barney to a tree.
These
they think
kids,
they're
yeah.
the
this
coolest
movie
fucking
is gonna
thing.
make these kids
Tom
do
and
it
Jerry
to Tom
shouldn't
and
be
Jerry.
that thing.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Who are awesome. Tom and Jerry are awesome and cool, and this movie is gonna make kids want to murder them, like Barney, like that.
Exactly.
Like,
Definitely.
You two feed each other's energy
Yeah.
so perfectly here with Nevin. Both of you are fucking screaming into your mics right now.
Me and Nevin go back a long time, and we have a very similar.
To all of our listeners and to everybody not in the room, I need you to know that Caleb has, like, dropped my hearing down a few points, screaming full volume next to me.
Me and Nevin get mad about cartoons. What do you want from us?
The spirit of the Zoomy Cathy's, honestly.
yes.
Can I
Jane,
make a
what's
I
your,
hate
what's your,
Barney
yes, what's
observation?
your?
I think that because okay, so when you're like 3 years old and you're watching Barney and everyone's watching Barney's
Yes.
fucking like cool, and then once you get like 4 or 5, you look at those kids
the
and you
mirror
like
stage. It's
resent
the
that
mirror
they
stage,
think is
yeah.
cool.
It's
It's
the
like a
mirror stage. It's
rebellion
like-
of that. I don't think any fucking kids would watch this movie and be like,
So
Tom and Jerry
so
are
you're-
so
you're
fucking
saying-
cool. Like I don't think there would
Well,
be
yeah.
that
Yeah,
rebellion.
exactly.
There was
even.
only one
If
episode
there
of
was,
Barney I
that
liked
would make
growing
it
up
interesting,
where I
at
was like,
least.
oh wow, this show's so super cool. And I remember it specifically because the only reason I liked it was because they were in a giant bowl of Frosted Flakes. That was the only thing I gave a shit about.
No,
Yeah.
but
I was just a fat ass. Like, I don't give a shit about Barney. I just wanted a giant bowl of Frosted Flakes.
Tom and Jerry
That was
was
basically-
a bleak experience.
Yeah,
I
it
think, for
made me less
everybody.
hopeful for the future.
yes.
That being said, well, Tom and Jerry may not have a future. We are not bots, so I say we go and give our credentials and where you can find it. I can't remember the where you can find us phrase. Luis, where can people find you? I'm ending the podcast. The podcast is
links.
over. I want this to be over.
What
I'm
are
getting
your
sad.
socials?
This shit
Yeah.
was exhausting.
This is the hardest podcast.
I'm sorry. Like, it really was. Like, I know we watched, like, Cyber Seduction last week, and I love that. But, like, even for a bad movie like that, like, it's funny. It's fun.
There's
something
no
there
joy
fun.
to be found.
This
in
was
it.
just
way- I wasn't there. This is a
boring.
way worse film than Cyber
There's
Sex.
like, I feel bad that we didn't go through the plot and all that, but like, what the fuck is there to say
Right,
about
Tom
this?
and Jerry
Like, I can't
doesn't have
think
its
of anything.
teenagers jerking off in the same room while watching a porn at a party.
Well,
scene.
you know what?
No,
Janie, what are your
that was
socials?
wrong.
Where can we find you?
Liveleak.com, there's videos.
Okay, Nevin, where can we find you? You know what? You can find me at exactly 3 eels on Instagram.
I'm just doing nonstop
Thank you so
animal
much for
cruelty.
listening to
I
the
run the
Zoomy
animal
Cathy's.
cruelty
Play us out,
podcast
Caleb.
on liveleak.com.
You can find me on www.rushlimbaugh.didnothingwrong /
Oh my god.
We run the Rush Limbaugh Did Nothing
Ditto
Wrong
Camp.
podcast.
Yeah.
The Ditto
yeah.
Camp.
Thank you for
no-
joining me on this
The Ditto
podcast.
Camp.
This will
I don't
be
know.
my
Do you want me
last
to be
episode.
serious?
Clay, no, don't leave. We'll talk about some manga. We'll talk about some boy.
What are we
love
watching?
rape
What are we watching
manga.
next week?
Yes.
Schindler's
My
List.
brand.
Yeah, we'll watch
we watch
some
Tom and Jerry
manga
manga?
where Tom
Is there a Tom and Jerry
Tom
manga?
like imprisons
Oh.
Jerry and then
Oh.
rapes him, and
I'm
then you'll be
sending
like,
it to
fuck
you
yeah,
now.
I'm
gonna
into
go
it.
find it. I'm gonna go
Yeah.
find the doujinshi because
That
I
would
know
be
I'm
cool.
about
sure
that.
it exists.
It's
That's
rape.
the worst part
It's
of this
playing it with
bit.
consent.
Oh yeah, the one cat was
It's
kind
edge
of hot.
play.
I
It's
guess.
edge
I'm
play.
not
Okay,
really
and with
into
that,
that.
thank you everyone for
can
listening.
I'm
find
sure
me
there was some
at,
art. There was definitely some
No,
good
the
furry
old school.
art. Let's just
The
link
old
that.
school
You can
cat.
find
Don't
me
say our social. Just link.
at Caleb the Harry on
Just like the
Twitter,
safari.
and we are starting. Janie, Colette, and I are actually involved in a new project. It's a news site that does parody news. It's called manfacts.org, and that'll be up and running soon. So you can find me at manfacts.org or Caleb the Harry. Nevin, where you at?
My friend and I are starting a podcast called Panther Race Grift, but we're both using pseudonyms, so forget that I said that.
We'll cut that out.
but
We'll cut all that out.
You should definitely check out our podcast.
All right.
Don't cut it out. Don't
we
cut
will
it out, 'cause
have
I still-
not Nevin for a not episode
All right.
is not podcast soon. Luis, where can we find you? Who are you?
Oh, no, don't have any social media to follow really.
What do you what's your favorite Tom and Jerry cartoon? Which one should people watch instead of this?
Definitely the Hiccup Pup for me.
The Hiccup Pup.
That episode was,
Oh yeah.
Stan Hiccup Pop.
with Spike and his son, and his son has the hiccups.
Colette and I will
That's a
watch
cute
it
one.
tonight.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Janie, what about you?
Oh yeah. Everything I said before was a lie. You can find me on Twitter at wifesucker, and I have an album coming out or an EP coming out really soon. So you can stream my music, Janie Danger. It's I don't know, anything you stream music on, like YouTube or Spotify or Live Leak. I don't know.
Colette, you got anything?
Janie Danger.
Like I said earlier, exactly 3 eels on Instagram. It's private. I will have to approve you.
But if you're cool enough, badass enough,
Yeah, if you're
and if you have enough credentials to
That
work
makes it-
for a hotel,
Buddy.
That makes it
then you're
exclusive.
in.
Yeah, then you're in.
baby.
Send me your resume. Send me your
Alright.
resumes.
All right.
And don't worry about background checks.
Yeah, no background
Don't worry
checks.
about back.
No
No
background
background checks in this universe.
No social security
Just hang
cards
on,
needed.
You're half torn, half ripped up. Your half ripped up paper resume. I mean, that's kind of true. Like, I will plug this. Like, there is an actual hotel workers have really shitty lives, and I don't want to dampen the mood, but there are I know some guys who are trying to unionize a Marriott. I think it was a Marriott. And it's all Haitian and Nicaraguan and Colombian undocumented immigrants. And I just the scene about this that infuriated me was when they were just showing the cleaning the laundry cleaning ladies just idling around no I don't want to get dark with it, but all those guys that you hate Harvey Weinstein, they stay at hotels. Go, if you watch this movie, go to your nearest hotel
Absolutely.
and buy the hotel workers
Yeah,
lunch
Stan
instead
hotel
of
workers.
giving
Definitely.
HBO any more money.
All right.
Yeah,
well,
that's my
that about wraps it up.
Like,
Thank you, Luis, for coming
Yeah.
on. We hope to have you again. It was
Absolutely.
great to hear your
Yeah.
Tom and Jerry expertise. And thank you, everybody. Tune in
This is
next
the best
week where
podcast
we
we've
will
ever
They
done.
keep getting better and better.
probably
Really.
watching. It'll be a Colette pick again. I think it might be a Colette episode. So strap in and allow us to play you out.
They made me watch some bad movies. Then a friendship started blooming. Now we're totally